Hey everybody, Johnny Cage here, welcoming you back to another game review. This time we are taking a look at Red Wings Aces of the Sky, developed and published by All In Games, and released May 21st, 2020 for the Nintendo Switch, which is the version we will be looking at today. Our story takes place in Europe during World War I, focusing on the legend that was Manfred von Richthofen, better known as the Red Baron. Throughout the game, bits of exposition will be told through comic-style pages and panels as pilots discuss their day-to-day life and the rivalries and admiration that fighter pilots had for one another, even if they were on different sides of the battle. I really enjoyed this aspect, as there were no clear-cut good and bad guys here. It was a story of people, and those flying in the war in particular, how it affected them and the relationships formed from their ordeal, though you don't get to know any of them on a very personal level. As you boot up the game, you will be presented with two different game mode options, as well as a tutorial if you need it. Jumping right into the campaign, you will start by deciding which story you prefer, whether it be the German Triple Alliance or the French-led Triple Entente. From there, it's time to select your plane from those available, which is a little limited to start, with many becoming unlocked as you complete certain missions and featuring over 10 in total. Each plane has 3 stats to consider, being the max speed, endurance, which indicates your max health, and heat resistance to your standard machine gun attack. With that out of the way, it's time to take to the skies and shoot down some bogeys, which will get progressively more difficult to finish off as you progress, with armored planes and eventually those that can perform aerial acrobatics to evade your fire. The mission types have some variety to them, while most of the time you'll either be trying to defeat a certain number of enemies as quick as possible, or trying to achieve the best score. The game also includes Superman 64-like flying missions where you will have to fly through a set number of rings, as well as missions focused around defending your Zeppelins from an onslaught of aircraft, or going on bombing runs, which is a nice little change of pace from the dogfighting, though I did find these to be quite easy in comparison. The enemy's health bar is clearly indicated even when out of firing range, as well as your heat meter for your main gun, which will become inoperable for a few seconds should you get a little trigger happy and hold it down for too long. Luckily, the machine gun isn't the only weapon you have at your disposal, as you also have 4 special attacks and maneuvers assigned to the 4 face buttons, with X executing a fatal takedown on a heavily damaged plane, which provides its own delightful animation of your character taking out another pilot with a handgun. Pressing A will perform a quick barrel roll, which is surprisingly more useful when flying directly into enemy fighters, as it gives you some invincibility to take out the opposition with by crashing right into them. The B button is your standard quick 180-degree turnaround, and Y will call in your squadron for additional firepower should you be pursued by more bogeys than you can handle. Though I hardly ever use this, as the setup for it would usually lead to me being shot up quite a bit, and it felt like just outmaneuvering any number of adversaries would be more to my benefit. Being in the sky and all, the environments don't exactly lend themselves to a great deal of cover, but at least you can hide in patches of clouds to escape enemy view for a few seconds if you happen to be around some. And if that's not working out for you, you can always find yourself a ring to blast through, which appears as a green cross on your radar. This will refill your health and fuel instantly, putting you right back in the fight. Once your mission is complete, you'll be scored based on the number of takedowns you had, as well as your combo multiplier and time it took for you to complete the mission. This score will provide you with anywhere from 0 to 3 stars, which can be used as points to permanently upgrade different aspects of gameplay. It is also worth noting that these skills are universal and will carry over to the other campaign. And if a particular perk isn't working for you, well, don't worry about that, as you can always reset your points and redistribute them once more. From there, it's a rinse and repeat process until you finish both campaigns, featuring over 50 missions total, each of which will last you probably around 3 to 5 hours depending on how badly you want to get 3 stars in each mission. After you've completed that, the fun doesn't have to end there, as you can enjoy the battle mode, which provides the player with survival and versus options, the former having you work alone or with a second player locally to take down wave after wave of enemy aircraft, or you can turn on your couch companion and challenge them to some one-on-one dogfighting. Controls in flying games will without a doubt make or break the whole experience, and I am happy to say in Red Wings they are quite tight and precise. In the options menu you can choose to invert the Y-axis, which I always choose in these types of games, as well as turn the rumble on and off and tweak the sensitivity of both the vertical and horizontal movement. And for the incredibly brave, there is the option to use motion controls if you so desire the added challenge or immersion. While I think the gyro controls did their job, I had the same experience with this control style as I do in racing games, which is to say I am perfectly fine with the good old analog stick, but a thumbs up to the developers for including it as a feature. Otherwise, the default controls are perfectly placed for quick reactions to the action on screen, with holding ZL zooming in on the area ahead of you and ZR firing the main gun, with the face buttons performing the previously mentioned special actions. Lastly, you have the right analog stick, which acts as the throttle and is indicated on the screen to the right of your health and fuel. This gives a great feeling of speed to the game, and you'll want to adjust the throttle often, as zooming ahead to objectives or falling back to have planes move into your line of sight are essential to achieving a high combo or completing a mission in a set amount of time. The visual design of the game is fine for an arcade-style dogfighting game, running smoothly at 30 frames per second, with the planes available being modeled after actual aircraft used during the war. My biggest issue with the visuals, which seems like low-hanging fruit, is in the level design. Of course you are in the sky for the entire game, and as you might suspect there isn't much to see up there, though you do get the occasional glimpse of the ground. The biggest change of pace is certainly the bombing missions, where your perspective is completely shifted, and you do get a couple of levels where you have to dodge artillery fire or fly through a sandstorm, which was appreciated, though it would have been nice to navigate through a mountain range or something of that sort while trying to take down enemies. Another small issue I had with the game was the font they used, and this might only bother me, but I felt like this almost Comic Sans style font is something you would see in a budget title and was a little cheap and distracting. On the other hand, the audio does a fantastic job of increasing the immersion here. From the action-packed score during the missions to the voice on the radio, it really amps you up while still placing you squarely in the war and not feeling out of place. The real standout for me being the sound effects, as they were always on point for the action that was going on. Whether it be the gunfire or change to the throttle, each effect is perfect and helps keep you on edge until you get a drum roll that your job's complete. Red Wings Aces of the Sky comes in at $20 American with a file size of 5.2 gigabytes, playing 1 or 2 players locally with no online support. With not many options in the dogfighting realm of games on the Switch, this is a welcome addition to the library. Who knows how long it will be until we actually get a new Star Fox game, and if you're clamoring for that type of action, this should help fill that void. The question is how long its appeal will last. Most people will have seen everything this game has to offer in about 12 hours, and once you have achieved 3 stars in each mission, there isn't much of a reason for you to jump back into the campaign mode, but it is nice to be able to load up this game and enjoy the survival wave mode whenever you get that itch. I'm going to give Red Wings Aces of the Sky a 6.5 out of 10. At only $20 and with this going on sale every few months, it is worth recommending if you see it on sale. It doesn't have a ton of variety, but the different planes and upgrades give you the necessary options to create a fulfilling aerial combat experience. Thank you everyone for watching, and if you would like to stay posted on new game reviews as I upload them, please click the subscribe button, as well as checking out the link in the description below for my Twitch channel where I stream most evenings. I'll talk to you all later on.